Well, we're back here at the Hall of History, and we're looking at immigration today. The title of this is the melting pot or salad bowl. The melting pot theory had that where all these people from all these foreign countries came in and melted together or became Americanized. Or the salad bowl theory is where all these people from these different countries are adding things to the American society, if you will. So we're going to take a look at a little bit about the immigration. We're looking at about the turn of the century. The picture I put on here is my great aunt and my grandmother. This is about circa 1900, and this is near the city of Dothan, Alabama. And I just came across these pictures not too long ago. I did never met my grandmother, but I did meet my great aunt. And she lived in Memphis, and we went down there when I was very, very young. America is a nation of immigrants. Here we have a picture of the Statue of Liberty and the inscription that was there. And this is the site that the immigrants saw as they entered New York Harbor. If you get time, well, you should get some time. There's a short video on Ellis Island here. And it's only about a minute long, so hopefully you'll take time to look at that. Why America? Well, many of the European countries, especially the Eastern European countries, they came to America for freedom from oppression. America at this time, a melting pot, and we welcomed all. I know my great grandfather on my dad's side came in from Lithuania about 1900, and Lithuania was suffering some persecution from the Russians at the time. The opportunity, again, Americans always been looked at that as the land of opportunity. Get a chance to, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, as we looked at before, and you can make your fortune. Stratification escape. European countries were noticeably stratified. In other words, you had hierarchies, especially of nobility. And once you were born into that class, it was pretty hard to move. Where America did not have this stratification of a royalty or monarchs or anything in that realm, as they did in many of the European countries. Who are we? You can take a look at this. I'm not going to go through all this, but if you look at pre-1880 from Western and Northern Europe, post-1880 from Eastern and Southern Europe, and get around turn of the century, many from Asia coming in through San Francisco. And after about 1910, many coming in from Latin America, and you can look at these numbers for yourself. Here's a map which again kind of shows the population, the immigrants, foreign-born and children. You can see down south, again, very agricultural, not as much as in the industrial states and out west where they tried to, the Homestead Act, getting people to migrate out there. And so this is a little bit of a map showing that graphically here. Some push factors. The global expansion of capitalism. Well, workers were needed to produce the goods, and as you can see from this particular map, that many of these workers came in from Germany and Poland and England. Ireland suffered from potato famines, and they came to America looking for economic opportunity. Well, there wasn't so much the agricultural, because after about 1850. When you had the industrialization going on, agriculture really declined. And many people came to the United States because the United States was the beacon of hope, especially in the industrial age. America was the place to go. American ingenuity, American resourcefulness, the raw materials here, a man could make their fortune. And so many people came to America looking for a better way of life. Quite a bit you get into Eastern Europe and so forth. a lot of it was just political upheaval. If you look at the one on here, the assassination of Tsar Alexander II, attacks by the Christians on the Jewish communities, and you started seeing a lot of Jewish people started immigrating to the United States. And you can see some pictures here, that was taking place in Ukraine and Poland. In 1910, 1911, the Mexican Revolution, people were sick of the fighting down there, and so they came to America, especially a lot between 1900 and 1930. And you can see the population of the Southwest grew about 4 times. Again, families decided to come to America to establish, looking for work to establish a better life. Many times the father would come, and then it took years for the rest of the family to arrive. We looked at before about how New York, you started running into the tenement houses and the overpopulation. People were just crammed into these houses, and the sanitary conditions were just not very good at all. Some pull factors: gold, especially out in California. Immigrants came to San Francisco, looked for the gold fields. Again, a get quick rich scheme. Many of these really worked serving the gold miners with different services, as I mentioned here, food and laundry services. At first, labor was needed, and the Chinese were welcome, and especially we talked about the transcontinental railroads, because they were very dangerous jobs, and they considered the immigrants were really disposable. Discrimination began early on when other settlers not accepted cultural differences. And in 1892, the United States passed the Chinese Exclusion Act through immigration through Angel Island. Angel Island was the place off of San Francisco where a lot of the immigrants came in from the Asian countries into the United States. Where on the East Coast, Ellis Island was the major immigration center off of New York. Well, as these immigrants came over, they were often given the lowest paying jobs in the worst conditions. There was no labor laws or government intervention. People were happy to find work. They were cheap labor, and there was a group called the nativists, or nativist, if you will. They really resented immigrant workers, claiming they were taking away jobs from Americans, that jobs should be for Americans. It's kind of ironic, though, unless you were Native American, everybody was an immigrant at this time. And they also believe that jobs are intended for men, not for women. As women and children started entering the workforce, as industrialization took place, more and more people were needed to work in the factories. Different nationalities had different stereotypes. We're going to pick on a couple here: the Irish and the Germans, because they like to drink. You talk about the Irish, the fighting Irish, hence the Fighting Irish in Notre Dame. And a little later on, we're going to look at a couple short video clips of the gangs in New York, and many of these gangs were of Irish descent. And that is where we're at today, and we'll continue this in class.